It is Rise and Fire Friday. My name is Chris Euksuzian. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter. We're doing live bets. This is what we're doing here. We're on Hawaii time, so the tournament is going on at this moment and time, but that doesn't mean we can rise and fire on some bets. I want to bring one of my good guys in from the Minneapolis area, Josh Bennett, Just Swish on the Fantasy Golf Podcast. I'm rocking the gear. He's one of my people, so I want to bring him on, and we're gonna find some winners for you guys. I understand you had Tom Kim, you had Sun JM, they were the top of the board. They're both gonna miss the cuts, but you want to make money. So hey, we're here. You watch, we're ready to roll. Josh, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, how's it going? Cheers.
Cheers, my brother. Absolutely. As your terms go, cracking beers. I got a double IPA Tonewood from the great Garden State. Double IPA. And I drank that doing a beer review while we were playing in Minneapolis. It was fantastic. And I had a birdie, so let that be known.
You did. I witnessed. It's true.
My driver was horrendous, but regardless, I still got a birdie, so I can never take that away from me.
It's a great point. And we had fun, so it doesn't even matter, to be honest.
Oh, no, I had a blast. I tell people all the time, that was the best golf outing with Chad, one of my best friends from college, Grant. We played a beautiful course in Minneapolis, Stone Ridge, right?
Stone Ridge, yep.
Yep, with the barn, everything, fantastic. I probably hit that barn probably a couple times with the driver. We had to cut that out a couple times, but hey, awesome time. I had a blast. It was probably literally, I'm not even joking because you're like on the show, but like honestly, it was probably the best time I ever had golfing. So I thank you and Chad and the great experience of the Midwest in general because you guys are awesome.
Yeah, we'll do that again. We'll make sure that wasn't a one and done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. But hey, guys are losing bets. That happens. You pick your Tom Kims. You think they're a lock. You think you have your Sanjay Ims. They look great. They're absolutely monsters. Driving the ball perfectly and all these things. But guess what? Golf is tough. Am I right?
Golf is wildly hard. It doesn't matter if you're a 10 handicap or a pro. Golf is hard no matter what. Which is why it's hard to bet on it. It's hard to play DFS on it, which I know more about than betting. Mm-hmm. It's hard to put your money on things and be confident about it when you know that the people that are playing the sport have no clue what's going to happen. So how do we know what's going to happen? It's hard.
It's hard, and at the end of the day, we want skin in the game, right? Whether you're betting $100, $10, $1, it never matters what your bet is, right? So we want to find something we can make a little bit of money on. And I think that's important at the end of the day. Like, I feel like we can find an opportunity where we can gain somewhat of an advantage seeing what we've seen this past week. So there's a guy just in general. He was kind of that 9K range. If you're looking at the DFS world, Adam Scott, he started off really slow, extremely heated up right now. He's been hitting the irons a lot better. If you're looking, I'm gonna bring him up right now here for the most part. Let me see if I can. Let me see 1 second here. There's a lot of technical difficulties here, but I'm in the present right now for the most part. But as far as his odds go, I'm going to bring the share screen up 1 second here. All right, here we go. So we're on the share screen right now. We're bringing it up, very fancy over here. We're on DraftKings, not sponsored, but I wish we were here nor there.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be in a perfect world we will be. But I'm looking at, guys are climbing up the leaderboard. This is kind of a weird kind of show for us for the most part because most of the time we would be done the second round, but now we're live watching the show. I'm watching Spieth kind of like falling apart a little bit. I had him for my one and done. He was about 4%. But if I'm looking right now, I'm clicking this guy right here, Adam Scott plus 120. I think that's a pretty good spot for him. If you're just wanting to get in the game and make a little bit of money, someone that's just trending in the right direction, I think Adam Scott's that kind of guy. How do you feel about that?
I got a guy that's really, really close to where you're sitting right now.
Okay.
Actually, as things are moving, he might be almost the same, almost damn near the same number, right under you, Cam Davis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a guy that's been, known for playing small courses very well. Am I right?
Yes, and he's so well, maybe if you want to get into stats at some point, we can do
Oh,
that. But
absolutely. I can bring that up. No
if
problem.
you look at how he's playing, he's that prime candidate where he is ball striking the crap out of the ball and just
Mhm.
isn't putting the ball in the hole right now. He's
Right.
like, and I'll get into at some point why this matters or doesn't matter at some point. But he's
Yeah, sure.
4th in approach, 11th off the tee, and damn near dead last in putting.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff doesn't matter, but if you go through shot by shot, like how all of his shots are happening, the
Mhm.
reason he's gaining so much off the tee and approach is because he's just been solid on every single hole. He doesn't have like 1 or 2 holes where he's like, I hit it to 3 feet from 200 yards. I'm hitting it to 10, 15 feet every time, and I'm just not rolling shit in. So I think Cam Davis is in a prime spot to start making some big moves on the weekend. That's my guy.
No, I totally understand that. He's a guy that was +1 today that still was positive on approach, positive off the tee. But like you said, the putter wasn't there for the most
Dead
part.
last. He might be dead last.
Yeah, but yeah, hey, let's see. Is he dead last for today? Well, for the second round, you're saying, or just in general?
For the total event. It might be
For the total event? Well, I
He
mean,
was
there's
worse
some guys
today
that
than
aren't
he
going to
was
make the
yesterday.
cut, but I mean, he's definitely down there. That's for sure.
What is it? He's 4 under, right? What's the cut going to be? 3 under, probably.
Probably about 2-3 under. Let me double check what that is right now, real quick. I'm going to check it on the other end over here. I think we're about 2 under. I think we're looking at for the most part.
Yeah.
Keegan Bradley kind of killed me today. I talked about it on Twitter. I think Tom Kim, the guy you completely faded, and
I'm all out on Tom Kim forever. Out.
No, yeah. I mean, I just based on what I was watching from last week, you're like, no, thank you. I don't believe the hype. And I mean, I'm not in that full board of it, but I think him being as a favorite, I think was a little like over.
It was aggressive.
It was aggressive, right?
Yes. And then people bet it. Like,
oh
Tom
yeah,
Kim 11-1. And the reason that people bet it was fine, I think.
because of the short course. That's the only reason
short
why.
course. He's a short hitter. Everybody loves the short hitters on short courses, and fine. But the interesting thing I thought about was the off the tee stuff at this course doesn't really matter because they don't hit a ton of drivers. If you're watching,
no, it's
on TV, you don't see a ton of drivers. So where he kind of excels is like when everybody's bashing drivers and he's hitting from 180 and other people are hitting from 160 and he can just hit it closer.
yeah.
Now they're all kind of playing in the exact same spot. And I think other people excel more than he does from playing from the same spot, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. And and a lot of people got burned by Gary Woodland this week. He's your typical long iron off the tee guy, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's so cheap." And it seemed like a good sneak. Well, it wasn't that sneak because everyone pretty much brought it up. Am I right? Like everyone's just like Gary Woodland. He's your long iron guy. Like RBC Heritage, you look right for Gary Woodland. It's like that kind of dude, but he hasn't played in a while, and he switched over to Puma and. I think he switched to coat. No, he was
Cobra.
with
Yeah, he was with
Cobra,
Puma for the close, and he just switched to their clubs. I know he's got the driver. I don't know if he's got the irons and stuff, but he was with Wilson before.
Well,
so.
Wilson. Well, yeah, for the apparel for his hat, at least as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of his clubs were Wilson.
Oh, really? That's wild.
I think.
I think that's just impressive in itself. No one plays Wilson clubs.
What's that?
No one plays Wilson clubs, right?
No. Why would you? They're not very good.
I mean, I think for him just being like close in some tournaments in the Florida swing, I think is just impressive in itself.
I think his skill made the Wilson clubs look better.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of excited to see how he plays with Cobra clubs because Cobra clubs are pretty good, and most people that they've dumped money into have been like very good golfers. Ricky was a good golfer for a long time.
Yeah.
Lexi's the other big one. She's been really good for a long time. Bryson, obviously, he's not on the tour anymore.
Well, with the driver and everything, but you never talk about his irons. It's always about the driver with Cobra. Am I right?
Yeah, usually. I mean, the irons that people talk about are the one length, which is what Bryson has made popular. But I mean, I think their standard length irons are actually pretty good. I think Ricky swings those. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
um,
But he
and
changed
then
his swing and everything for the most part, right? So I mean,
yeah,
he's kind of been all over the place.
right, yeah. So yeah, so
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if that makes a difference in this game because I'm certain Cobra is a big step up from whatever the hell he was swinging with Wilson. No offense to Wilson, of course. If you play Wilson, good for you. I'm sure they're great for you.
yeah.
They are not Cobra. They are also not TaylorMade or Titleist.
Or
Cobra is not
Callaway.
them, but they're close.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does a little better with those clubs. But I know a lot of guys were kind of like pivoting towards that point. Like, oh, he's always been good with the long irons off the tee, and then he ended up shooting like +8, plus I think it was +8 his first round. I think just off the top of my head, but he was kind of a guy I stay away from. But like, it was kind of funny because I heard something from um on Mayo's network, Joe Tappan. You know what I'm talking about? He does all the DFS work.
I don't.
No, okay, all right,
This
fair
will
enough.
surprise you. I watch and listen to almost nothing throughout the week.
Well, that's probably better off.
Almost nothing.
No, but that's honestly pretty good. I mean, as you see, I'm like, I have my Nick Foles jersey. You see me have the Sony Open on, so it's always good. I'm keeping that on the side. But anyway, he brought up a good point, Joe, that he wanted to he's like, instead of building from the top, build from the bottom. And I literally this week in general with DFS, the only guy I made a staple my entire DFS was Stuart Sink. And it was because he was really good RBC heritage. And this is kind of like a narrow kind of fairway. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play him. He hasn't played in a while, but I just rolled with him. But it's worked out pretty well. I mean, of course, anything can change within the weekend and things of that nature. Stuart Sink, always a guy that always played well in these shorter, narrow courses.
Which it's interesting that he does because the shorter, narrow courses, for whatever reason, usually tend to lean towards people that are shorter off the tee for whatever reason. I mean, there are occasions where long hitters pop in and do well. Stuart Sink is really not like a short hit. Like he hits the ball.
No, he bombs it. Yeah, he definitely bombs it.
So it's very interesting that he kind of fits, but he doesn't. He seems like because he's old and he's like a little short, little bald guy. It seems like he wouldn't hit the ball very far. So just if you look at him, the profile of him, you're like, just his profile in general, he's got to fit this court. But he like bombs it. He's like weirdly not a good fit. I don't think.
You know what's kind of crazy though? Another guy I was looking at, like that's always they talk about ball strikers all this week. Someone's good like with approach and everything. Doc Redman's been a guy. He's actually his numbers have been really good putting wise. He's really picked up the putter recently, and like he's a guy that his approach has always been his bread and butter. It's been kind of down, but his putter, I think he spiked up with like over 3 strokes game putting. I think he's over 1 today for the most part. But if he can get his putting going, maybe he can fall in that top 20 for the most part. But it's just I think his numbers getting kind of crazy over here for the most part.
I get a little nervous when we look at putting in general, whether we're looking at one
it's
round
a very volatile stat. I can totally agree with that.
or any number of rounds, just because it's a volatile stat in general, and the difference between the best putters and the worst putters, strokes gained wise, and how many strokes it actually matters for in a round, it's pretty small.
Yeah,
like the difference between the really good players and the really bad players off the tee makes a difference.
Oh, 100%.
As closer you get to the green, the less that stuff matters and the more volatile it starts to get. So when I build lineups for DFS, I don't do any betting, but if I did betting, I would completely ignore putting. I wouldn't even, unless I was between one or two guys and it was like, I've decided they are the exact same person, and then one putt's a little better than the other, then I'll pick that person. But otherwise, to me, I don't think putting is relevant when you're trying to figure out if a golfer is going to score good or not. It's relevant because they have to putt the ball into the hole. But if you're looking at a golfer's statistics and trying to decide which one will be better than the other one, I don't think you can. I don't think there's a point in looking at putting.
Well, I think that's especially even more to this point for this week. If you look at what past golfers have done at the Tournament of Champions with like Hideki, Kevin Na, you're just like throwing people that have won the last tournaments. They were atrocious off the putting and everything else. I think if you take a guy on that can actually strike the ball well and don't even worry about putting, it's like a no putt week, especially for this week because the greens aren't that undulating and things like that. I think it almost favors the guys that are really bad at putting. But unfortunately, you see like guys like Montgomery, who's just been the greatest flat stick player ever
He's
created.
the best putter of all time. Name any of the best putters of all time.
No,
Montgomery's
number one.
He's the best putter. I can't believe every time they put him on TV, the ball's just going in the hole.
Every time.
Amazing.
I want to put him in the back of my wall just with the flat stick, just getting ready. Like that's all. I mean, I have a space right over here next to my Tony Finau signed flag from Villanova Championship. I'm putting Montgomery right.
I can put him up over here. I gotta fill.
Oh, you have so much room. That's Montgomery's space.
I gotta fill some space. I got Bryson over here. And I got I got the best driver of all time right here. Yeah. I'm gonna put the best putter of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Here. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, hey, you can't hold his flat stick, so he looks at it and reads it with all these algorithms. But Montgomery's just like, I'm just gonna hit the thing. He's like, I don't have to look at it. I hear of all the things with Shadow Creek they've been talking about. He's like, he was in the dark and he's just like hitting putts from 40 deep, and I'm like, okay, where that goes. But I see this guy in multiple 30-foot putts. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Maybe I'm gonna take my statement back from a few seconds ago.
Okay.
About not looking at putting. I'll look at his putting. He's the only one.
He might be the rare exception, which happens once in a while with athletes. There's a rare exception, and it's like, what's really funny? When he warms up with his swing, he's so violent. Like it looks like I'm watching him, and it looks like he's gonna swing. He's like, nope. He's like, not today. And then he just wails at it afterwards. I'm like, what is going on? Like everyone has their own thing, and I get it. Golf's very hard, and everyone has their own swings, everyone critiques and everything like that. But it's like, dude's in another world. But maybe we're just living in it. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, it's.
But a guy I do kind of want to look at, lines are moving crazy, and I'm going to check right now. I want to see where the PGA standings are right now. A guy that's usually a good first round stable kind of pick, Matt Kuchar. He was dog shit. I'm not going to lie. His first round cost me a little bit of money. The guy loves collecting a paycheck, as everyone knows.
He does.
He's like, oh, like Rory. It's like, I lost it by stroke. That was $200,000. Like, yeah, you would care about that. You motherfucker. Like it doesn't matter. And I want to see where he's at currently right now, because I think that might be a good spot for a guy that has dominated this course.
He's looks like he's 2 under, just kind of skirting that cut line at the moment.
I have him at -3 currently on my computer through 10. So he's going to make the cut.
2 10. Interesting.
If you can get him at that plus 210 mark, I love it. 2-1, over 2-1 on a guy that has had dominance on this course before, that just got that shitty round out of his system. 2-1. I think that's fantastic. And a lot of people don't see the name Kuchar to start the season. It's kind of like how I felt with the first round 20 bet, top 20 after the first round. Like he was plus 350. You don't see that often. Once he starts hitting a bunch of those, you're seeing the plus 180s and all that stuff.
One thing that's interesting about Kuchar, I PGA Tour website. This is a whole different fucking rant. Their website and their app. They are saying that it's upgraded and it's so good. It's still a piece of shit. I clicked on Matt Kuchar's name to bring up his stats. You could kind of look at it.
Yeah, sure. Check it out. Yeah.
It brought me to a completely different tournament when I clicked his name.
Really?
It had 4 rounds of stuff. So whatever one he pulled up, I said he was 2 under. He was 2 under in that tournament. So okay. But anyway, that's a different rant. Yeah. So I'm looking at Kuchar's stats here. An interesting thing, and this is something that I would definitely, if I were to be betting or playing live, something I would definitely dive into more about. Yep. His first round, he lost a half a stroke approach. This round, he's gaining over a stroke and a half on approach.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is a rant I go into on Fantasy Golf Pod a lot about how we're using strokes gained and what strokes gained even fucking means.
Yes.
Round to round, strokes gained can fluctuate a lot. So if I'm going to be betting like real time, trying to find somebody to win the rest of this tournament, if I go and see that Matt Kuchar's gaining now total a stroke on approach, like average, whatever. And then if I look at round 1 and 2, lost a half yesterday, gaining a stroke and a half today. You have to think that there's something going on between the first round and the second. I mean, you don't just not have it one day and then have it another day. In theory, you can, but
there's some fucks with it. Yeah.
The strokes gained can get really messy because like approaching the green, there's only like 18 approaches, sometimes less, or maybe like 1 or 2 more. So if you hit one really good one or one really bad one, it can really fuck up the strokes gained for that round. And then if you're looking at it, it can really fuck up like how you're mentally processing what happened for the round. So I'm seeing one strokes gained approach for the 2 rounds. I'm like, that's fine. But now I'm seeing the second round 1.6 is actually pretty good. So if I wanted to bet Matt Kuchar, I would look through every single shot now of the first and second round to figure out which is he actually hitting the irons good. Is 1.6 closer to what he's actually doing, or is the 0.5 closer? Because he could have like 2 holes today where he had like 200 yards in and hit it to 3 feet, and I'd be like, okay, he's actually sucks. He just had 2 really good shots that are inflating this.
No,
then I'm
yeah.
out on Matt Kuchar. But it also could be in the first round he had 2 approaches and he hit one in the water and he hit one to like 70 feet from 70 yards. That's why it was negative. Okay, now his approach is actually way better. I think I'm all in on Matt Kuchar. So I'm glad you brought it up and I looked at it because it's very interesting, because if you just look at it on the surface, 1.1 overall, 45th in the field, nothing to care about. Yeah. But then you look at the round by round, and then now if you look at the hole by hole, you could fall into something really sweet. I'm not going to look into it right now or care to look into it.
No, I get it. It's a deep dive, and I totally get that at the end of the day.
And I think you should if you really care about, like, if you're going to in-game bet or if you're going to do like showdown on DraftKings, if you really, really care about making money doing that, that's an extra step you are required to take if you really want to make money. If you have to see that and say, I got to know what the difference is here, because you play golf, I play golf, people that play golf know. Well, I guess the worse you get gets a little different, but like when I go out, I'm like a relatively scratchish golfer. If I play golf on a Thursday and a Friday, I don't hit the ball too terribly different from one day to the next day. From 1 week to a couple weeks, things might change because swings change,
because that's
stuff.
a big
but day to day, especially for a pro, they're not going to be that much different. So seeing numbers like that makes me think something's different one day to the other. I have to figure out what it is, because it could walk you right into cash, to be honest. Just walk you right into it, or walk you into saving cash.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, but like when it comes to showdown, I think it's a lot of things when it comes to ownership. I think that's important. I think a lot of people write people off. I think there might be some adjustment period for a little bit of time to like kind of get their stuff together. You know, you might get a guy where, like you said, like the putting is bad, or, he was supposed to be a top 20 guy at plus 100. And then they end up getting to their mean at some point where they're going to get close to that top 20, but they're so far behind that they're going to get to it in the third round. So those are kind of things that I've looked at when it comes to kind of showdown stuff for the most part. But I think Kuchar's kind of trending into the right direction, if I had to say, for the most part, because his approach isn't all that great. And from what I watched, like personally with my own eyes with Kuchar, because he was part
nothing better than using your own eyeballs, by the way.
But what he was on the feature group for the first round. So I was watching on ESPN Plus. So I was watching that. His putter was absolutely terrible. And honestly, he was still like somewhat of like an even putter, which is wild. But a lot of his
Yeah.
stuff was his approach wasn't that good. But now, I think he's getting a lot from what I saw, like the bits and pieces from today. He was starting to hit him closer to the pin, like you were saying, and
Yeah.
maybe that's something that gets kind of parlayed into the weekend. And I mean, there's a lot of variance with things. You got to know who the players are. Then they like Kuchar, like he talked about during like the Wyndham top 10 and stuff like that. Like Rory was like, oh yeah, you would care about like that one stroke for like 100,000, but that dude cares. Like I'll believe me, I've had Kuchar in first round plays T20. The dude has battled multiple times for me for the cash, like 3 straight birdies at the end of the round just to hit my top 20. The dude loves his money and more than
Yeah.
most of these guys. And it just kind of falls into that. So it's like more of like you got to know what the guy is, but like the strokes gain data is strong as well.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
It's
strong in a
hard.
sense
You have
that
to
you
find a
have
balance
to.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's and the strokes gained stuff it's good to use. You just have to be careful and understand what goes into it because
Correct.
off the tee, for example, it's eight. Well, if you got to take away the par three, so it's not even 18 swings per round.
No,
If
correct.
you
Yeah.
have one or two that are really, really, really good, it will inflate to that number. So you have to be careful when you're using strokes gained and say this guy hit the ball sweet off the tee. The only way you can know that is if you watch it with your eyeballs and say,
Yeah.
I watched him hit the ball really far and really straight all day. Or you have to go and look at the hole by hole data. If you don't, then you have to start stretching out what your time period is. Because if you can't just use 2 rounds, that will tell you absolutely nothing. It could be right, but it also could be just totally wrong.
Yeah.
The less you pay attention to the details, the longer you have to stretch out the time period of stats that you're looking at,
Yeah.
because that's when things start to normalize out. So if we're talking about Matt Kuchar still, if you're watching him hit the
Yeah.
ball, I'm watching him hit the ball. So we kind of get that he's been hitting his irons better than he's not hitting them.
He's not before the first
But
round.
if you're not watching, you can't use these 2 rounds of stats and say, I know how he's hitting the ball. You got to start going back to last tournament before that. The
Right.
less you pay attention as you're watching or diving into the details of the shots, the more you need to go back because you need to have stats that are normalized. Otherwise, they tell you nothing.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, it's tough. You need to find a nice balance, and of course, like you work everyday life jobs, and it's like you can't watch every swing.
Right.
It's
Yep.
hard. Like I'm working my job, you're working your job. I mean, like I might have like my little phone on just on the side, just
Mhm.
seeing that Kuchar chipping a ball into the stands. You're checking all that stuff and everything. But at the end of the day, you have to lean on some strokes gain stats, but it's not the mean all be all kind of thing.
It shouldn't be. No. If it
But
is, you're not going to win a lot of money, by the way. You
no,
just
but I
won't.
mean, but as far as like people need to realize that the strokes gain stats is based off the field. It's not just how good they are doing in general. It's based off a whole group of like what the entire group, because you know what, the wind might be going kind of crazy in the
Yeah.
AM rather than the PM, and that's the kind of like you have to realize with maybe he gained 5 strokes because he was in the PM field. But then
Right.
that's also if you know that kind of data and you're like, wow, he really shot over his mark today. Like you could be like Robert Streb, like he shot 4 strokes. I'm just throwing a random name out there. Robert Streb throwing 4 strokes gain better with approach because he didn't hit the wind that morning. The wind was crazy, but
Yep.
then the wind died and everyone bonkers. But that's just kind of what you have to notice with, it's not just the strokes gained down, but you have to realize the course conditions when it comes down to it. And that's
Mhm.
something I've been learning about the last year, about year and a half. Like I'm a big data guy. Like I'm always like, because I want to be like neutral and I'm like, hey, the data hits here, the data hits here. And but as you watch, you're like, oh my gosh, the wind was going like 12 miles an hour in the morning. You're like, what the fuck? Like the guy was like 5, now he's like a 2, with strokes gained approach. So there's a lot of variables. I love it. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm super obsessed with the game of golf in general, like especially playing. Like you play with me. I'm not that good, but like, but I mean, like I love the mental aspect of it and the elements and everything like that. There's a lot that goes into this game, and that's what makes it so hard to bet it at the end of the day.
It does, yeah, and that's why you can't just use very surface level data or stats or surface level anything, because the closer you get to the surface of anything you're looking at in golf, the more you're just relying on it being just a lottery pick, basically.
Right.
You're just throwing some numbers out there, and hopefully some shit sticks, and then it works. You can get an advantage betting on golf or doing golf DFS by taking the extra time. By the most people that tout picks and tout plays, they don't take any extra time. They just throw names out and they hope they're going to hit the lottery, because they throw out 10 names, they'll get one right eventually, and everyone says
yeah, there are 10 names out there, yeah.
But if you want like a real advantage, you do the things that we've been talking about, or things that I've mentioned, that you got to start diving into the weeds and finding those kind of the diamonds in the rough a little bit, where everybody else is kind of sitting up here on the surface like, oh, he lost half a stroke approach. I can't bet that. If you look into why it happened, and it was just one approach that got hit into the water, and the rest of them he's hitting
that
5
fluctuates
feet,
a lot with it, with just one shot. Yeah.
Right. That now everybody's off of a guy, and it can work for showdown, it can work for live betting, it can work for anything. Everybody else is now off this guy, and you're like, well, shit, he hit like 10 approaches to 6 feet. He just hit one in the water, whatever. That doesn't matter. He's going to be sick over the weekend. Now in showdown, you're playing a dude that's $7,200 at 3% owned, and you just shipped the whole thing. You can get an advantage by knowing golf and diving into the weeds of the stats against all the people that are just looking at surface level stuff. It sounds like you're doing that, which is great. And I think there are others that are doing that. I also think there are tons of people that don't.
I'll be honest with you,
learn a lot from doing it.
There's a lot of people that just look at who's playing good and they play him. Like that took me. So like I'm going to get into kind of just like the DFS spot here. All right. So like I was never a good DFS player. So I'm not saying I'm a great one now, but I've improved. But like I've always been to the spot where like good on approach, bad on putting. Like, guess what?
That's
like,
the classic.
That's the classic move, right?
The classic.
So that was always the spot and everything. So like I'm gonna just throw out a spot out there because I like him a lot. Degenerate 75. He's been a good guy that's been kind of getting good. Like, you have to kind of pivot when other people aren't pivoting, kind of thing. Like you got to be different, right? So like if there's guys that just kind of like maybe barely make the cut and they've been bad with everything, and they were supposed to be good, then that's great. But like, you got to take chances on guys that were supposed to be good, like your Brian Harmons of the world, that people aren't like, everyone touted them all week, and then people forget about them in like 2 days because like who the fuck talks about Brian Harmon, right? I mean, like honestly,
nobody talks about anybody other than Tiger and Rory.
That's what
people will forget about. Oh, and Tom Kim now. Nobody will forget.
Well, Tom Kim's pretty wild. He's pretty good, regardless of his cut.
Right. So I mean, people will forget about anybody if they have 2 bad weeks. It's over.
It's over, right?
2 bad rounds, it could be over. You just never hear about them again until they have 2 more good rounds. Then they're back and everybody's on them again.
And speaking
a lot of players get the flow like that.
I'm watching right now. I see Spieth at -3. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Like, God, like what the fuck happened? He was like -1,000. Now he's -3. Like, what a dickhead.
And he said in his interview yesterday, he's like, man, I feel like I shoot 500-600 under every round here. Okay.
God, he's such a dick. I had him for one of my one and dones, and he was like leading the fucking bunch, like fucking the worst. But it's here nor there. Golf's fucking hard. He bogeyed his last 4 holes. What a fucking clown.
Wow.
What a fucking joke. Yeah. Over in his last. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Believe me. I try to, you were conservative with a couple of things. Like I'm in a couple one and dones. I'm trying to like go for home run swing this year. But because I'm not like a huge bettor or anything, but I was like, oh, one and done. There's like 15K, 50K, winners. I'm like, all right, I'll dabble a little bit, just kind of, go a little while. But by the way, JJ Spawn, no, I don't know anyone's talking about him, but JJ Spawn's been fantastic.
He has. He's weird. I thought I was reading something or I heard something that
He's been awesome.
Was sick or something for a while.
Sig, Grayson Sig.
No. JJ Spawn was like sick or something for
really?
like a long time. Was something, or maybe I can't remember what it was, but whatever it was, healed like a few months ago, and now he's just like way good at golf again. I wish I could remember what it was. I don't remember.
He's completely locked in
or read it, but
the dude's locked in. He's wearing like a full bun down shirt, just doing whatever he wants.
I didn't hate that, by the way.
You don't like the full bun down shirt?
I didn't know. Everyone was mad at him because he didn't tuck it in. I think if he would have tucked that in, it would have looked even more dumb.
It would have looked ridiculous. Right?
I don't know if people just didn't realize that it was a full button down.
No, I don't think they did.
You can't tuck that in with any. I don't think you can
well,
tuck
full
that
button
in
tuck in looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
No, but it's no rollback. Am I right?
I liked it.
It's no rollback.
It's not a rollback. I wonder if they got full buttons on.
No, they don't. No, I looked on the. I look all the time because I bought a couple things. I absolutely love their stuff. But it was funny. I talked to a guy on Twitter. He's like, "Oh, like blah 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 blah." He thought I was sponsored by Roback. I'm like, "Yeah, I wish." Dude. Like, get the fuck out of here.
If anybody should be sponsored by Roback, it's me. You should see my closet.
No, dude. No, when we played, you had the little drink white polo thing. Dude, yeah, I'm buying that. That was beautiful.
It's a good one. They make a bunch of them that have like drinks and stuff on them. I got like 4 of them now.
Dude, the sweatshirt with the hoodie is fantastic.
Dude. I still don't have one. A little upset about that. Maybe I'll buy one right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have the one, and dude, I wear it every day I can. It's fantastic.
I'm literally, while we're talking right now, I'm gonna buy one.
No, seriously, I have the lightest red pink one. That's like awesome, dude. I absolutely love it. And believe me, guys, if you're watching, I'm not sponsored by them by any means necessary, but
we would love to be.
Believe me, I love their product. I'm gonna buy their polos constantly. If I can get them to just like give me 2 free polos, like they'll be the sponsor immediately. It doesn't even fucking matter because it costs an arm and a leg for
they can send me one hoodie. You know what? Fuck it. They don't got to send me anything. I don't give a fuck. Just say we sponsored. I'm in. I don't even care. I love Roback. Roback's the fucking best ever.
No, because I was always looking. I had Nike stuff for a while, and then I was like, I'm like, it's not even that great, and it was like so tough. And I was like, I gotta find some. So I did my poll and everything, and you brought up Roback, and I was looking at them, and I like Travis Matthew too. I like them as well, but I like Roback a little bit better. I'll be honest with you.
It is. I think it is better. I was a Puma guy before the Roback change.
Okay, you're a little Puma guy. Yeah,
Puma seems very similar to me to Roback. Roback's just better, I think.
No, totally. But at the end of the day, we're looking for bets, and
we are.
I think honestly, I think Kuchar falls in that part because I know my man hates losing money, and he embarrassed himself for the first round. I think he's going to play well. This course still fits him out well. If I'm looking at his current odds right now, if I'm giving you guys one bet today, I'm giving you Kuchar plus 200, 2-1 on your money. He's going to make the cut probably. Let me see where he's currently at. He's at -3 through 12. You're getting great value. He could still, I'm looking at what he has on the course. He still has a par 5. I mean, the dude's lacing it right now. He's hitting greens within 10 feet right now. Give me plus 200 with Matt Kuchar. I make fun of him all the time because he's a stingy motherfucker, but yeah, we want guys that cash. Give me a little 200-1. What are you looking at this week?
Cam Davis is my guy.
Cam Davis is your guy, regardless right at the beginning. Where he's at.
Yeah, he's like in a similar spot to Kuchar, I think. But I think
well, he has the talent. That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And
right.
He's been really, really bad putting, and he's also been really, really good with everything else. So if you just assume what everybody else assumes, that if you're
still getting him on a discount.
For sure. If you assume what everybody else assumes, that if you hit the ball well eventually the putts will start rolling in. That
Yeah.
there probably is not a better bet you can make than Cam Davis.
All right, so he's currently at -115 right now, but he also did just birdie a little bit ago. He's at so this is kind of a different scenario because we're in Hawaii
When we
time.
started, he was plus 120.
He was
For
plus
top
120.
20.
He dropped to -1 and change. But this is different though. I have you on here with a Hawaii event where everything is still going on. The tournament's still going on. I see So right now looking at a putt with his nice khakis, and he's probably gonna miss some right here. I am currently looking. Yeah, nice putt, guy. All right, yeah, that went across the board. But but I'm saying this is a nice little different scene. We're going with live tournament action. This isn't everything's been done, and I can look at all of that. We're going live, Josh.
I like it.
Live.
I like it.
So but hey, once again, I want to thank you guys for coming on Rise and Fire Bets. I'm doing this every week for the PGA because my passion is the PGA. I'm so happy football's ending. Honestly, with you, I've had enough. I love the PGA, and I think you can find good value in PGA at the end of the day. And hey, have you ever been to Hawaii, by the way?
I have not. No, I haven't. You haven't
been outside Minneapolis?
What's that?
Have you been outside Minneapolis?
I have traveled a little bit. I had to travel a little bit when I was playing basketball in high school and college, but as far as like being
you're a basketball player?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, nice.
Wait.
St. Mary's in California or Mount St. Mary's?
No. St. Mary's in Winona, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. I see. So when a little side part with me, I used to play basketball too. So I played high school AAU, and I used to play club. So my club team, we had all-stars for the state of New Jersey. We played our all-star game in Mount St. Mary's in like the Virginia area.
Sure.
So we had a North versus South Jersey
cool.
battle. So I saw St. Mary's, but I thought it was the West Coast St. Mary's.
No.
Because the one I played at was Mount St. Mary's. So
yeah, I have actually been to the St. Mary's in California though. Went out there for
it's probably beautiful
for a tournament in high school and got to play at their gym.
Oh, cool. Awesome, sick.
Yeah,
but that's great. Hey, you can find me at Chris Euksuzian at Chris Ebom on Twitter. I'm always tweeting stuff about college golf, whatever. I'm talking everything sports betting. It doesn't matter. We're always rising, firing. That's Josh, Jay Swish Dish over here. The Fantasy Golf Pod. I have it right here. I love their brand. Great guys. Chad himself, everybody. Fantastic time.
5 ET on Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesdays. What time Wednesdays?
5 Eastern, 4 Central.
5 Eastern time. Good, because
Chad likes
Eastern time.
Chad likes to, so it's 4 Central. Chad likes to say 4:20 Central because if you know anything about Chad, that's just Chad.
Yeah.
4:20.
I know.
We go at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4 o'clock Central time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So
that's right.
Absolutely, man. So check them out. They're clicking names, cracking beers, all that good stuff. Absolutely, man. So thanks again, Josh. I think we put out some good winners, regardless, and I think we brought good info. So I'm happy with it. And anytime I can drink a beer with you talking golf, I'm all for that life.
Love it.
So hey guys, thank you again. Remember to subscribe. Let's go win that money.
Let's do it.